Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chef Joshua Young. I am a chef instructor here at Skagit Valley College. Today I'm going to be walking you through your knife practical demo. It's going to take me a little bit more than a half an hour because I'm going to walk you through the intricacies of doing this. But if you follow this guide and you go with this step by step, you will be able to complete this task within a half an hour. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rondelle some carrots. And rondelle, if I have my knife guard right, my knife chart right here, is this thin round one right here, okay? First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel my carrots. Flip it over. Notice I only do a half at a time. So I feel like if I go like that, it takes too long. Also, be careful with the peelers that you use, because when you have a peeler that takes off too much of your carrot, most of your nutrients are right underneath the skin, and if you peel too much, you're peeling everything that is good off of that carrot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my left hand to guide my knife. I have my knife hand, which is my dumb hand, and I have my left hand, which is my smart hand. My smart hand, my left hand, my non-dominant hand. So if you lefties out there, it would be your right hand, but since I'm righty, my right hand is my dumb hand. All my right hand does is use the knife. Whether I chop like this or I chop like that, it doesn't matter. This is my knife hand, and all it does is cut. This hand is my smart hand, and it tells my knife what to do. So I'm going to cut a rondelle. I'm going to cut the very tip off, just because it's kind of dry and it's unappealing. And I put my guide hand on the carrot, and I do a rocking motion. I want nice, thin rondelles. Look at that. Beautiful. And you can notice I'm doing a rocking or a piston motion like this. Like, think of a piston on a train. This is the cut that I prefer for this. You could also do it like this. But I find that carrots, because they're so fibrous and hard, that this just works a little bit better. All right? So now I have my rondelles. All right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do small dice. So small dice, I'm going to take the top off my carrot, put it in my scrap heap. I'm going to take my utility knife, and I always use the right knife for the right job. This knife is great for cutting. This knife is great literally for everything. I can do everything with this knife that I can do with this knife and with this knife. If I lost all my knives tomorrow and I only was able to afford one knife, I'd get my utility knife, because I can literally rondelle with it, I can tourne with it, I can butcher with it, I can clean artichokes with it, I can small dice a carrot with it. So I'm going to small dice a carrot. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round off the edges. Make sure that I have a nice flat surface so it doesn't rock and it doesn't move. I'm going to square off the edges. And now I have a nice 90-degree angle to make planks. I'm going to make small dice. And notice, one, it's the same width on each side. When you're cutting, you have to make sure that you're standing with your feet apart, with your knife at about a 45-degree angle like this, and your hand at another 45-degree angle. And the product, you stand right over it. Do not lean. Stand up straight. And you'll get nice planks that are the same on both sides. Now, I have 3 nice planks, and I'm doing a small dice. Yes? Yes, chef, you are doing a small dice. So now, I make sticks. And I don't want to use this because this is the rounded edge. Now I have nice matchsticks, and now I'm going to do my small dice. Now I'm going to take my French knife out, Make sure all of my sticks are together. Now I'm going to do small dice. And the maddening thing and the thing about knife skills is that every time I'm picking up my knife, I'm working on my knife skills. They are never perfect. They are never what I want them to be. They will never be good enough in my eyes. I always tell my students that if I'm grading myself on my knife skills, I'm giving myself a B. An A is outstanding, and my knife skills, they're good, but they're not outstanding. So this is the small dice of my carrot. So now I have my rondelles, and I have my small dice. So I'm going to clear my board. Make sure you clear your board in between every task. You don't want a lot of stuff on your board. When you have a messy board, you are unable to concentrate. You're constantly moving things around, and you're not able to concentrate on whatever you're cutting. So now I'm going to cut my potatoes. So the first thing I do is I cut my carrots. And notice, very clean cutting board. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do all my potato work. I'm going to do julienne, I'm going to do brunoise, and then I'm going to do tournay and large dice. So this will be my julienne and my brunoise. So again, I cut both the top and the bottom off. And now, make a flat surface. So I have a nice, flat, safe surface to work with. And I cut it so I have a nice 90-degree angle. If there is some peel right there, take that peel right off. Nobody wants to see the peel when you're dicing. So now, I'm going to do a julienne. And the nice thing is, and if you do this way, your julienne is just a stick that is waiting to be brunoise. So now I have my julienne, I have my planks that I'm setting up here. Nice, even planks of potato. Same width on top and bottom. Nice job. Much better job on my potato than it was on my carrot. But then again, I'm always be improving. My knife skills are never good enough. And now I'm doing julienne. All right. There is a nice julienne potato. Look at that. That is pretty. Nice julienne potato right there. And now julienne, when it says it on your knife kit, it's 2 inches long, an 1/8 by 1/8 by 2 inches long. That obviously is a little bit more than 2 inches, but again, the world doesn't grow 2-inch potatoes. If it's a little longer, great, make it a little longer. As long as your cuts are consistent, that's what matters the most. Now, I'm going to make a brunoise. I'm going to take these same julienne, bring my French knife over, make sure that it is clean. And now I have brunoise. And again, I'm much happier with my potatoes than I am with my carrot. The carrot sometimes is very fibrous and bends very easily. So you don't always get the straightest edges or the cleanest cuts. Now look at that. That is a beautiful, beautiful brunoise. So now I have my brunoise and my julienne. I'll put that in that cup right there. Okay. Now we're going to do large dice. And again, clean off your board. Make sure that every little scrap is off, because you do not want to have to be distracted with schmutz. Schmutz is a Yiddish word. Schmutz, stuff all over your board. So now we're doing a large dice. I'll be able to get 2 planks out of this potato. And again, take off any of the extra peel. 2 planks, and then 1 large stick. And again, boom, boom. And there's my large dice. Not bad. Not bad. Pretty close, but I will tell you, one of the things about the larger the dice, the more the more your inconsistencies show. So as a chef, I always like to go Brunoise, small dice, because large dice, you can see that one definitely looks different than that one. Okay? When they're smaller, you can't really tell. But there's my large dice. Now, we're going to tourner. And with my tourner, I use my paring knife. Now, you could say, Chef, I have a tourner knife. That's great. Use your tourner knife if you want. I have no problem with tourner knives. My issue, why I don't own a tourner knives, is myself personally, I don't like one-use knives. Tourner knives, those bird beak knives, are only good for tourner. It's kind of like bread knives. For me, this is my bread knife. It's razor sharp. I don't need teeth to go through bread. This works just as well as a tourner knife. So I'm going to make 4 tournés for you. I'm going to cut the potatoes and cut the tops and bottoms off, cut it in half, and now we are going to tourner. A tourner is 7 equal sides in a cylinder. So I will just show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I need to make an 8th cut to even out that 7th side, I do, and I do. So there you go. There's 1 tourner. Now that is pretty as a picture, ain't it? So I start, there is a line that's running down the middle of the potato, and that's showing me the first cut that I make. 4, 5, 6, 7, and I will need an 8th cut to even that out. There you go, and there is my tournés. Again, not bad. Tournés are a chef's cut. There are people that cook for a living, that have cooked their entire lives, can't tourner a potato. I have a hard time calling that person a chef, because I believe that any chef that's worth their salt should be able to tourner a potato. And if you're not, then why are you a chef at all? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dice my onion. You're going to have to dice a whole onion. So you have the top of the onion, which is the root, and the bottom. So I'm going to cut the bottom off. This you save for stock or whatever. And then with this top part, I just take that fibrous, hairy part, if you will, off. So you have this and this left over. So I have not peeled my onion yet because I always cut my onions in half to peel them. It's easier to peel. There's less waste. It takes you a whole heck of a lot less time. You don't want to peel so much of the onion off because that's just waste. And that's money that you could be saving for many, 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 many different things. So there it is. Take that off. Now I have, and if you notice, the onion has fibers that run up and down. That will be important later. So again, I'm going to take that off, peel that right off. Now I have my onion. Now I'm going to take my utility knife, again, clean my board, make sure everything is off. Now I'm going to take my onion, and I'm going to do a medium dice of onion. So I'm going to take my knife and go almost to the top and separate that onion evenly from side to side, okay? So now I have even cuts down the onion. And then I'm going to go 1 cut just like that. So you should see nice squares. And now I'm going to dice my onion. Perfectly diced onion. Look at that. Very, very, very nice onion. So now I'm going to dice the other side. Well, this time, I'm going to use my French knife. Now, dice my onions. Look at that, perfectly, beautifully diced, medium diced onion. Perfect. Now, we get to the fun part. And now you're thinking, oh, I got all of the hard parts. You're doing your knife cut demo and you're like, all of my hard parts are out of the way. And you still have a clean board. You have a clean board. You haven't done anything quite messy yet. Making sure that you wipe down in between every task. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to supreme my orange. I have an orange here. All right. Take my orange. I cut the top off. The top is the part with the stem. And the bottom off. All right. So now I want to peel the orange. You peel the orange by making a cut. And now you let that skin, you try not to take so much off. But you want to take all the peel off. That peel is very bitter. And now you just use that as a guide. You use that skin as a guide. You want to get all that white off while taking as little orange off as possible. And if you have to trim a little bit more, you trim a little bit more. You see right there? I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to trim it a little bit. Just trim it a little bit. You don't want any of that pith, that bitter, bitter pith. So now I have my cup that I'm going to store my orange in. You could use a 6-pan, whatever you're going to use it for. And I'm going to cut in between each segment to make what you call supremes. So I'm going to make a cut here. And a cut here and lift. Cut here, and lift. And you do that all the way around the orange. If you see a seed that comes with it, take that seed out. You can't eat the seed. Nobody likes the seed either. And now I have beautiful orange supremes. And I'm doing it right over what I'm serving it or what I'm holding it in. So any juice that drips is caught right in there. And then I have this, and then I just squeeze it. And so all that extra juice comes out, and it preserves the orange. So there is my supremed orange. Now, the last two things I got to do, well, the last three things I got to do, I got to chop garlic, tomato concasse, and chop parsley. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blanch my tomato. I have boiling water right here going, and I have shocking water right here for when my tomato is cooked. You will also need tongs to get the tomato from the water into the shocking water. So, first thing you want to do is you want to take where the stem was on the tomato off. So I take my knife and I just run it almost perpendicular, so you take as little of that meat off as possible. And you remove literally that much of the tomato. All the stem is gone, and just a little bit of the pulp. The next, you want to score the bottom of the tomato with an X. But again, you don't want to cut so much of the meat, because that's the edible or the usable part. So I just make an X along the skin, just like that. No more than that. You don't need any more than that. And then you put it in boiling water. While that's boiling, I'm going to chop my garlic. I'm going to watch this as I'm chopping my garlic. As a cook, you need to learn to multitask. And so as my tomato's cooking, I'm chopping my garlic. So the first thing I do when I chop my garlic is I crush it. I like to say that I crush its spirit, but garlic, I don't know if it has a spirit. So I just crush it so it's nice and flat, and it's easy to chop. All right? All the while I'm watching my tomato, making sure that it does not overcook. All I want to do is I want to loosen that skin of that tomato so it comes off. So now I have my garlic already crushed, and then I start chopping. Now, chopping garlic, you're like, oh, chef, that's easy. Anybody can chop garlic. But you want to make sure that there are no big pieces when you chop your garlic, because if you have bigger pieces, they're going to be raw while your small pieces are burnt. So you want to make sure that your pieces are somewhat symmetrical or the same size. So my tomato, you can tell if it's cooked by is it peeling? Nah, it's not peeling yet. This one was kind of an unripe tomato, so it's going to take a little bit longer to blanch. So now I'm chopping my garlic. I move it around my board, I scrape off my blade, and then I make sure I bunch it all together again, and I keep chopping, and I chop. Keep chopping. All right. And at this point, with my nice sharp knife, I have nice minced garlic. There's my garlic. And again, my tomato is cooking the whole time. I'm not even worried about it. There's my chopped garlic. And my board is clean still. Make sure I wipe that down. And I'm going to get that tomato out of that water. And I can tell that it is ready to be peeled. Yes, it is nice and soft. That skin is nice and soft. So in the shocking water it goes. Ice and water. It stops the cooking process immediately. This is part of your mise en place. If your tomato is cooking or your vegetables are in that water, you better have shocking water ready, because you don't have time to run to the ice machine. Get a container, run to the ice machine, get water, fill it up. By the time you get back, your tomato or your vegetables may be overcooked. So make sure that you have your mise en place ready. While that is shocking and that is getting cool, I'm going to chop my parsley. I have my parsley. Most of the stems are removed. And I'm going to ball it up really tight. And then I'm going to start with the tip of my knife, making very, very thin cuts. Okay? And if you do like that, you won't have to chop for so long, because it's already very chopped for you. So one of the things that you'll want to notice, or one of the things that you'll want to be wary of, is that the bigger leaves, when you chop and push down, the leaves go to the bottom. So you want to kind of mix it up a little bit, making sure that those big leaves come right back on top. And then I had a chef who I respect a great deal tell me about chopped parsley. He said, chopping parsley, anybody can do it. But once you think your parsley is chopped enough, chop it for 5 more minutes, because it was never chopped enough for him. And every time I chop parsley, I think about Pat and chopping it for 5 more minutes longer. He was a fantastic mentor. So now I have my knife, my board. My chopped parsley goes in there because it is a finished product. Wipe off. And now I'm going to peel my tomato. I peel my tomato with my paring knife because the skin comes right off. And then you just rinse it off. And it'll help you peel that tomato very, very, very easily. You can hear it come off. All right, tomato is peeled. And now you're going to want to take the seeds out. Don't get rid of that water, because that water is about to help you. So you're going to cut the tomato in half lengthwise. and you'll see the seeds. So you dip it in the water, and you'll rinse those seeds right out. And any excess seeds go right into that ice water. It's a pretty brilliant technique. And then you could just rinse those seeds right off. Okay? Rinse those seeds right off. And now they are peeled, they are seeded, and now you can chop them any way you want. And I'm just going to wipe my knife off, remove my other knife, and now I'm going to dice them. Again, left hand. And here I have tomato concasse. Now I'm going to do the other one. And there is tomato concasse. And there is your knife practical. Thank you very much. Have a great day.